The state of Maine is a beautiful and remote place. It is 90% covered with forest. 4 years ago, my family and myself encountered a creature that changed our life forever. This is a chronicle of my search for Bigfoot. The truth is out there, and I intend to find it. In this episode, we traveled to where Kevin had his first Bigfoot sighting.
Well, where we're at is a spot that I usually come to, and there's a family that is here, and I've had a lot of experiences with them, and so I had experiences here. And then over in this area, probably a quarter of a mile away, is where I had my first sighting. And I've been out camping with a friend of mine, and that night we had a lot of hoots and a lot of knocks, and it freaked him out, and he said, I'll never go back there again. So a few nights later, I went back over and camped in the same spot. And so I didn't have any action that night. And then the next morning, I packed up my camping gear and started walking back towards my house, because my house was a couple miles away. I got onto the railroad bed, and I'm walking. There's a field on my right-hand side, and then the railroad bed. And then the tree started from there. And so right as I got to the tree line, I was about 50 feet away. Down on the side of the railroad bed, about 50 feet from me, I saw a Bigfoot. I didn't get to see its face. I was catching it as it was coming out of the wood line towards the railroad bed. And then it turned and went back in. But what was interesting about it was the sun was right over the railroad bed. So I could see its hair, I could see its muscles and its shape. This one was probably 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know, from what I could judge where I was up there.
Sure.
But so I'm looking at it, you could see the muscles. It had hair that was probably 4 inches long. It was like a fine hair, almost like a black lab.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was so smooth and shiny and a reddish color when the sun was shining right on its back.
Wow.
So it turned and it went back into the woods. I heard one twig break and never heard it again. So I was walking along and I'm watching it and I'm like, my whole world just changed.
See, and what's interesting to me about this is, Jacob that I interviewed, his sighting is about 2 miles that way. The Maine Bigfoot Foundation has reported sightings of a family in Norridgewock, which is only, 10 miles that way?
Yes.
8 miles that way.
Yeah.
This is a really, like North Anson, this whole area is just a really good hot spot.
At this point, we embarked on our search for clues to see how much Bigfoot activity there actually was in the area.
All right, so this is a branch weave that I found probably about 2 years ago. You'd be able to look at it and see that this is no way it could be natural. And this branch, it's actually part of a shrub, came up, it was bent, and then right here is a fork. And right at this fork is a tree that is lodged in there so tight. I mean, I could get it out, but it was forced in there. The first time I put anything here was a keychain. It was a Jeep keychain, and it was shiny. And somebody told me, if you give them a gift, let them know. I put the keychain right down here, and I thanked him. First I held it up. I walked through the woods, through the thick swamps that are out here. You'll see when we get out there. And came back to my four-wheeler, and there was a bouquet. of flowers. It was swamp grass mixed in with all different types. At first I thought it was just a clump of grass. But then I noticed there was a vine around the middle of this bouquet holding this bundle together. So I knew right then and there it was a gift from them to me.
Just found this print. Right here, you can see a heel. It comes up and then it goes back down again, and then you can see the toe prints right there.
You see how incredibly secluded this is. There is, look, I'm completely out of, wow. And there's prints all over the place.
Interesting fact, Maine has the largest black bear population in the lower 48 states. Within our vast wilderness, there's plenty of room for undiscovered megafauna to exist.
So look at this.
It's almost like they know that the vine is going to grow over it in a year and create a blind for them.
That's right. So let's go over here. Like I said, I haven't been on the other side of this yet. So
Holy moly, that's a complex weave right there. That is a complex, it's like the other ones we saw were the house they started but didn't finish. Look at that, that is a complex weave.
yeah. It's just amazing.
It is. This isn't rooted. Look at this tree right here. This tree was put here.
Absolutely.
This tree isn't, I just went to pull on it. It's not even, look at that. And this is the other side of that blind that we just saw.
And so go down and look in that blind.
And look at this wedged here to like stop people or stop things. And it's a whole nother complicated weave. This is definitely
to block someone from coming in. Right on the edge of this field. There's deer out here all the time. Whenever I come out here at night, there's deer all out here.
Leaving the blind, we worked our way over into the cedar swamps.
Found this print right here. You can see the shape of it, the heel, and where it comes out. You can see the toes. You can see how it's deep right here, all the toe indents and everything. It's definitely a print.
And if you put my foot beside it, and wait, this is the heel of it, it's right about there. And I'm an 11. That's massive compared to my foot.
And you can see where it's flattened. And
Yeah.
it's smooth.
And I'm 240 pounds, and look at where I just stepped. Barely anything, and this pushed down enough to leave a solid imprint.
I found this 2 years ago, and what really got me was the bottom. The bottom has no roots. It's dead underneath here, and this whole piece is probably 40 feet long. This was stood up. It doesn't just naturally fall straight up. Because if you look around, you see trees that are down and they're all at angles against the trees. And then look around, all around here, I don't see a stump for it. It's a young beaver.
Yeah, it's a beaver.
It's a young beaver. So right next to that log that was standing straight up, Dave came over here and found this. With the spine over there in the back half, you can see the pelvis over there in the back half. And then you have the front half over here. So did something rip it in half? And then I started looking at it a little closer, and I see no tooth marks on any of these bones that you would expect if it was a fox or some other predator. There would be teeth marks.